Yes, guys, what is happening? Hope you're really well. So we are going to go through this training. This training is going to last anywhere between, I reckon, about 30 minutes. But this training is going to be hugely, hugely beneficial. We've run it in three focus sessions, right, for our members. And this is really for those members who couldn't make the face-to-face meet. And this is for any man who's really looking to reclaim his edge, who goes down the line of wanting to be a high performer, a leader, or a business owner, right? So we're going to get into this. We're going to go through the presentation. We're going to go through the considerations. And then what we're going to do is go through the workbook at the very end, show you how to fill that workbook out, and then what to do with it so you're not wasting it. All right, guys? So this is the recalibration experience for high-level men, okay, ready to stop drifting. And we're going to go through a lot about what that drifting is, that misalignment, and how to find our edge. Now, I read a book recently called Die with Zero by Bill Perkins, and it changed the game for me. Okay. And it made me realize that success without fulfillment is failure in disguise. And I think this is really important because a lot of people that are or would consider themselves high performers, leaders, or business owners, they're often caught up in the hustle, and 80% of their time, their energy, and focused is focused purely on that professional front. And they're not building success from home. They're not building the things that matter. And this really isn't about optimizing your calendar, but it's about confronting the version of you that is quietly coasting, right? And every single one of you will be in this position. Okay. So the first thing that you'll need to do, and we will come on to this, is going to do a drift audit. And if you've got your worksheets in front of you, you will see that we have the audit that has this format right in front of you. Okay. And I've put here a really key quote. A man doesn't wake up empty, he leaks over time. And I always talk about the sandbag. And if you just plug a hole at the very bottom of that sandbag, there's lots of sand in there to start with, right? But when you're on your walk throughout the day, it's slowly just emptying. And you get to the very end of the day or the week or the month, and actually you have this empty sandbag and you're like, where's all my sand gone? And actually you're feeling pretty like low on energy, low on drive. For me, time is your most valuable currency, and I want to make sure you're spending it on the right things, right? So there are these five domains, okay? Five domains that we're going to go through. Oops, sorry. The first one is your business vision. So it's like how much time, energy, and focus in the last 6 months have you been putting into the vision of your business or your leadership role or that side hustle that you're thinking about, your career within that leadership role. How much time? So are you fully engaged, or is it on autopilot, or are you kind of drifting here? The second one is family and presence. Are you fully engaged with the family? Are you fully present? Or are you just on autopilot and you're a bit of a zombie and you're kind of coming home and people are talking to you, and you're trying to listen, but you can hear them, but you're just not listening because your mind's on work, your mind's on the misalignment, your mind is on the drift, right? Or I put on there, are you just drifting? And you're going to do this for each one of these: health and vitality, mental health, emotional health, nutrition, physical health. Okay. Life experiences. Okay. Are you getting enough life experiences now? Are you having enough fun? Is there an inner fulfillment? All right. So when you fill out your form, this is what we're going to come to, right? These are the things that we're going to do. And actually, I think I'm going to show you it right now. Oh, so what we have here are the five domains, right? I made a novice error here in putting sevens because we never score seven. Seven is too easy. People just go to seven when they don't know. It's just a seven. So you're not allowed to score seven. And I put here the most dangerous drift is the ones that you don't see. Use this section to assess your life across five core domains, right? And each area gets to score. So 0 is totally off, 10 is fully engaged. All right. And I've put some triggers in there to get you thinking, right? So are you still building something meaningful, or are you just maintaining the machine, right? Do my business goals, leadership goals, career goals still excite me, right? Is the mission clear, or am I drifting in execution? So go through all of those things. And underneath, there's a couple of key questions, right? What's the radical alignment what would that look like, right? And what's the first step to it? And I want you to take your time doing this. Don't just score. I want you to think about the last 6 months, okay, of whenever you're doing this. All right. I'm filming this on the Friday, the 27th of June, 2025. So think about the very start of the year, right? So how's the year gone so far in terms of these domains? What would you score them? Okay. How much of time, effort, energy have you put into it? And wherever you are the last 6 months, all right? So before you move on to the next part of the video, crack on with that, get your scores, add them up over 50, because that's the most score, and see what you come up with. Cool. So hopefully now what you have is an understanding about um, where your time, energy, and focus is going with some of those domains, and what has been going on with those things. So it's really about understanding them at a next level. And this is something I think you should be doing every single month. And when you do it every single month, what you do is you build up your self-conscious and sub-belief system to know exactly where things are going well and where things aren't, where the balance is, where there is too much energy and time going into one thing and not enough in the other. Okay. Now, on the focus groups, we got the guys to complete this part of the form, right? This comes before that audit normally, but I just wanted to do the audit first, because what I think I find works better, having done those focus groups, is getting an understanding about where you are, because we've already triggered some thoughts, some reflections, some reviews on how you have been performing. Now it's about understanding why you're here. Why are you really here? And I want you to answer these questions in truth. Give yourself 15 minutes. That's what we gave the guys. And just ask yourself these questions. What version of you brought you to this room, to watching this training here? What state are you in? What did you say you were going to do in this day? Why did you say, yes, I'm going to watch this? I'm going to take part in this. Okay. And then the second one is, what's quietly been bothering you? Okay. Even though things look fine from the outside. And I've put some triggers on there. So you can read all the questions. Make sure you go through all of this. You can have some real realizations on this. And the thing is that with personal development and growth and moving forwards, in order to grow, you've got to understand what you're working with. And that's what a lot of men don't do very well, because they hide it, they bury their heads, they're in denial, and they never really get the best out of what they could achieve. So have a look at what you've got written here. Then just double check your audit and ask yourself, have I scored myself correctly based on what you've written here? Okay, so crack on with that, and then we'll come back to the presentation. All right, so we're going to move on. So we're going to talk about the edge loss, if you like. So why are we losing our edge? And what is our edge? So for me, the edge is a heightened emotional state about achieving something. So there are two different scenarios here. Scenario A is somebody who is walking down the street and they're very cold, very numb. It feels very like there's a brain fog thing going on, and they don't look very energetic. And when we speak to them, they're low on energy. They don't really perceive somebody that is fulfilled, happy, up for it, upbeat. And you probably meet some of those people, right? And when I look at those people, I can see that there is no edge in them. Somebody that has edge is someone that's like got that fire burning inside of us right here. So we kind of know the challenge. We kind of understand the challenge. We kind of wake up and we kind of understand what we're trying to achieve. We're positive about it. We talk about it. We suddenly get heightened in our emotions about it as well. And I think it's the difference between rolling out of bed, maybe pressing snooze a few times, and jumping out of bed and getting in the cold tub and getting on with your morning routine. The edge is what makes us achieve and build our mission to live out our legacy. And there are going to be periods and chapters of our lives where we lose that edge. And it's important to understand, okay, what that looks like. So I put here 3 examples. We die when we stop feeling fire. So that just reinforces what I was talking about. The richest life builds on memory dividends that define your story. So memory dividends are your highlight reels, your journey, your path, your process, your mission, your legacy. What are the things that really stand out that become the dividends, right? And then there is the task. I want you to write down or share, either with somebody or in our community, a moment when you felt most alive? I want you to think about that. What elements were present? What's missing now? So I'll give you an example. When the morning that we went off for 3 weeks in a camper van on holiday in 2023, man, that I was buzzing. Really felt the edge on the build up to it. It was a really amazing time. I really felt like it was our best holiday, and we've been on some great holidays. And we felt alive. We felt alive because we were traveling, because we didn't know what was coming from one day to the next. And I think we need more of that in our lives, right? We need to have something that we're looking forward to, right? What have you delayed for too long, right? If you had 5 years left at full energy, how would you spend that? Okay, so I've put a couple of tasks again to help you with this. Write down 3 delayed aspirations that you have. Okay, what's truly stopping you from starting tomorrow? Okay, what's truly stopping you from starting tomorrow? And there is this thing that you think you have an abundance of time. This really kicked into me in March this year when I realized that actually I don't have all of that time. We don't have an abundance of time to be able to do all the things that we want. So we've got to start now. We've got to get it done. We've got to work harder than we think we have to. And we have to go all in knowing what that is. Okay. Find your lost edge. Okay. So these are common phrases. Complete these. I used to do this, do that. I've always said I would travel the world, start a new business. But lately I've been drifting, making excuses, been full of shit. Okay. So here's something that I used to say. I used to say I would do something at the end of every quarter. I always said I would do it as a reward, but lately I don't, because I've not given it the attention that it needs. So that was always a thing for me, that I want to go away at the end of each quarter to reward myself for all of the work that we had been doing within the business and to do it with the family. Okay, so that is something that you can really kind of think about. Okay, so we're going to go through how you can kind of really bring this to light and bring this to surface in the worksheet. Cool. So we're going to look at the lost edge, and I'm just going to go do the first couple to give you the feel for this. All right. So if you don't lose your fire, you just stop feeding it, right? If you didn't lose your fire, you just stop feeding it. And that's what it really comes down to. High performers rarely crash, they slowly disconnect. So you can see there's a common pattern here, right? Like the edge, it's like that sandbag. It's like always 1% in the wrong direction. And when you go 1% in the wrong direction, that's where the edge is disappearing, right? You lose your own drive, your hunger, and your standards. Okay. And this part is about remembering who you were before survival mode become normal, and identifying what version of you, okay, needs to return to the front line. So I've put these key questions in here. There's 4 key questions with a reflection and a bonus prompt. So the first one is, I used to feel fully alive when? When did time disappear? When were you on fire with purpose, energy, and presence? So I really wanted to think about this part of your life. Okay, what was happening? Okay. 2 is kind of like the part of me I've buried to keep up appearance is. So you kind of get the theme of what's happening here and how it's working, right? So go away, complete them. And then what I want you to do is come back, and then we will go through the next phase of this. All right. This part again is so important. A lot of the lads that have been doing this, it really raised the game for them in terms of that self-awareness. It's kind of all coming to the surface now, which is exactly what we're looking for, so that you can move forwards with your life and build and recalibrate your mission. So we're going to look at the mission code now. So we're going to get onto some things that are going to really help us move forwards with all of this, right? Okay. So it's about looking at, number 1, your core mission. Number 3, the values you must embody to achieve that mission. And then your non-negotiables, which become your execution anchors. All right. So I'm going to give you some examples here of mine. So I'm here to build a business I love that operates around my life, so that I feel complete, at peace, and content. It also helps me to feel more aligned with what I want from life. Okay, so that's my core mission. You know, there have been different missions throughout my life, but we evolve them, we make them understand them more. And I have come to learn that the core mission is about more about what I want. How do I set up a business around the life that I want? Okay. And I realize and appreciate that there will be sacrifices there. And that will probably be the scalability of a business. And it will probably limit how much I can probably earn as a business owner. Okay. Because what I don't want is hundreds and hundreds of clients, because I don't want to have to deal with that. So what we do is we create a program, a platform, a system that works for me, and that allows me not to be overwhelmed and allows me to be able to still have a life, still watch my kids grow up, still do the things that I love, and still help those men that are willing to want to show up, right? So the values I've got to embed here to ensure that this happens. Okay. So these are the principles that pretty much guide all your decisions, right? So I've put four here. You can put you can put as many as you want. Build a business around my life. Build a business around my life. That is my mantra. That's my statement. That's how I kind of think, right? So I have to actually understand, what does my life want to look like? Well, it wants to be free. And if you think about my background being in the military, it was fairly restricted. When I think about my boot camp, it was fairly restricted. I had to go to classes in the morning, had to go to classes in the afternoon and evening. And I didn't really have much of a life. It felt like split shifts. So from all of that experience, what I want is to be able to lift this laptop up, go and see the world, watch the sunrise and sunset in lots of different countries with my family, and still be able to coach people and change their lives. Okay. And number two is build success from home. So build me first. Make sure that the guns in my arm, in my head, and my heart are all winning, right? So that's the physical, mental, and emotional conditioning. So I am the leader to my family. I make sure that my barriers are in place, making sure that my family is taken care of, finances are taken care of. So I'm building that success from home, and that will overspill into my business and my career. Okay. Lead me to lead them. Make sure that I'm always taking care of me. Okay. And these align to the statement above, my core mission. So these are core values that align to that core mission. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. So 5 non-negotiables to execute. These are execution anchors. These are boundaries, rituals, habits, weekly commitments, whatever you want to call them. Now, there could be many here, right? But the main 5 for me is my morning routine. You train every single day, okay? Every single day. Weekends off, okay? Finish work at 1600 every day, and I'm worth what I charge. So charging the right prices for the experience that I have for those guys, okay? And I think this is important, and you're going to do some work on this, okay? Because this is where the, if you like, foundations of your mission start to form. Okay, so if you go to chapter 5, you will see that it's basically your mission core builder. All right, so here you're going to write down in number 1 your core mission, your 3 core values, okay, and then your 5 execution anchors in chapter 5. So you're going to work through that just like you have done before. I've put lots and lots of prompts in there. Again, I think this is something that you should be doing monthly. You should be coming back to this to check in. Don't worry about chapter 4 right now. We'll be coming back to that a little bit later on. Okay, that's just the way that it's going to work. Basically, when we set this up, I thought this would be the best order, but having run it for 3 sessions now, what I find is that number 4 is something that we come back to as considerations for when we're achieving our missions, right? So crack on with that. Set as much time as you need to. I mean, it might be like 20 minutes. It could be 4 days. It's whatever you want it to be. All right, so we are going to get back into what I call the life reclaim plan. If you like, this is like a reset button. So for a lot of guys, when they've lost their edge or they've lost their way, this really becomes um, the reset. Okay, so you're kind of reclaiming yourself, right? And you're going to obviously go through this on your worksheet, but let me just run through some considerations. So for me, again, I always talk about this is the morning focus cues, daily intentions that aligns with your mission, right? Aligning is key. Misalignment is kind of like, right, that's what I want to do, but I'm actually going that way. This is what I want to do, and this is where I'm going that way, and that's where they meet in the middle, and that's when we feel that reassurance, right? Often when I'm like this, there's anxiety because there's so much uncertainty, right? So I put here, set clear, specific intentions before you're checking your devices, your phones, right? Connect it daily to your core mission statement. So the number one thing, wherever that is, write it on here somewhere. Put it somewhere in your mission builder that you're going to look at every single day. So in our mission builder, it says, what's the mission? Confirm your mission. Your one core mission should be written in there all the time. Okay. Visualize successful completion to your prime to prime your mindset, right? So visualize success, you getting through everything you need to do. Spend 5 minutes just visualizing, this is what I'm trying to do, this is where I want to be, this is the man that I want to be, this is where I want my family to be, my business to be, my finances to be, and just go all into that. Okay, on top of the morning routine. Daily mission move, okay, one meaningful action towards your edge, which is progress. We all need to feel progress. Your edge feeds off the progress, right? Choose one high impact task that pushes your comfort zone. Okay, so something on that, when you do your mission builder, when it says what's your top 3 things, one of the things on there should be making you feel nervous. Okay, like, God, I've got to get that done. I've got to get that done. I've got to start that business. I've got to reach out to that person. I've got to invest in that holiday. I've got to book that course. I've got to get on that thing. Do something, right? Schedule it during your peak energy hours. So for me, it's 9 to 12:30. When do you work best? When do you work best? That's what we want to make. That's what we want to try and get to, right? Eliminate distractions during this focused time block. So this is all the stuff that we teach within our course. Okay, so it's making sure you're taking all these into considerations, right? And then you got your nightly review habits, reflection, practice to capture growth. Okay, so document wins and lessons from the day, which is your mission builder. Okay, so going through that review system, identify tomorrow's mission, move before you sleep. So learning to kind of like have that transition routine. So you plan the next day, you go for your transition walk, you go to the gym, and you kind of get all of that out of you. Okay. And then legacy action, which is family, health, and fun and investment. So it's kind of prioritizing evening time for those guys, right? It's important that we are investing time in relationships and things that matter, right? And that's where the balance comes in, okay? So how that looks before we got into some really good stuff is on the workshops. Let me show you what I want you to complete. Okay, so if you go to chapter 7, it's called a 7-day re-entry. Okay, and when you go through this, this is kind of you setting up your plan. Okay, so there are 5 boxes to go through: morning mission cue, the daily action you're going to use to get you back, the nightly review prompt, the family health anchor, one person I will update. Okay, and that's probably more than likely if you're a client of ours, is going to be in our Mission Pro workshop. Okay, so there's plenty to kind of get on there. This is really bringing you back. This is like where you've lost that edge, where you're becoming complacent, where you've misaligned yourself. This is how we re-enter back into the process, because what ends up happening is you feel this spike where you're on it, and then there is this huge plateau. But often when we hit a plateau, we tend to come down here slightly, so the journey takes us down the bottom, and when we're at the bottom, that's where we go. You've got to make a choice to either use that 7-day re-entry back in to get you back, or you just go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and you move further away from that self that you want to be, right? So this is why it's so important. This is your plan of action to come straight back, get the immediate fire going, get the immediate edge going, and start really feeling like that edge, finding that alignment, stopping the drift. This is the disruption. So we've got to disrupt the drift, right? Okay, let's get back. Okay, so we're just gonna have a look at this here. This is what really matters. Life's most profound insights often come from facing our potential regrets. Take a moment now to reflect deeply on those questions. They reveal what truly matters to you. Okay, so gonna go through some of these, and I think this is important for you to consider when it comes to recalibrating the next 6 months, right? So I've put here regrets of inaction, unspoken truths, unrealized potential. So if I died in 5 years, what would I regret not doing? Okay, again, death is always like fucking morbid, but it's the calculated, guaranteed end. So we have to take that into consideration. Go, why am I still fucking around, like clowning around with like bullshit excuses and not doing what I said I was going to do, right? Why haven't I started the business? Why haven't I started the side hustle? Why haven't I taken the family to Disneyland, right? So unspoken truths. What would I regret not saying to the people who mattered, right? Expressing love more openly, admitting mistakes, asking for forgiveness. Like, do you know how I often think about like arguments with the wife, with the kids? It's just I just don't have time. I don't have the energy for it. I don't have the time for it, and I don't want it. Because if something happened to me on the way out, and my last words to my kids or my wife, and they were anger, I'd be devastated, and so would they. There's just no time for arguments. Figure it out. Unrealized potential. What would I regret not becoming while I had the chance? Big one, right? The leader I know I could be, someone who prioritizes health, a mentor to others, financially independent, whatever it is to you. All right. And I think the most dangerous risk to all of spending your life not doing what you want on the bet that you can buy yourself the freedom to do it later. Okay. It's so important. Okay. So I've put here a couple of actions for you to take. Choose one action, share your commitment, schedule it now. So select one meaningful action to take within the next 48 hours. Okay. So think in the next 48 hours, what's something meaningful, right? So maybe if you're not working with us, you might come and work with us for 28 days. So you might go to the description in the YouTube post, you might go to my Instagram post, and you might comment the word ready. And you might say, right, I'm in. Let's fucking do this. Okay. Tell someone in the room, okay, what you're going to do and when. Obviously, we're not in the room, but tell somebody. Have an accountability buddy. Tell your wife. Not enough men talk to their wife about personal development. Okay. If you're in our community already, stick it up in school. Okay, and then schedule it now. Put it in your calendars before you leave the session if you're still here. Okay, so let's go through the 6 month checkpoint, right? Mission reset, monthly review, quarterly recalibration, and 6 month celebration. Okay, so we're gonna go. So we're going to go through this process. I thought I'd missed one right there. Okay, so the best way to do this is on the spreadsheet, and we will get there right now. Okay, so there are, if you remember the 5 domains: business and mission, health and energy, presence at home, self-leadership and discipline, and fulfillment and fun. All right. So there are 3 key things that you can add here. What must be true in 6 months for me to feel proud of how I showed up in the business or your career? Okay. The biggest change I must make to realign this domain and the outcome that proves I've done it. Okay. Mission clarity, new clients, products, launch, system built, promotion, team change, work-life balance change, whatever it's going to be. So they are the same questions that you're going to go through. Now, this might take 20 minutes, it might take a week, but this is where you really want to be thinking more about your future, what you're doing, where you're going, what needs to be done. And the more that you do this, the more reps that you do, okay, the clearer it will become for you. Okay, so make sure that you're taking your time. Now, there are 2 other chapters we haven't looked at. So the edge declaration. So this is the thing that I want you to do at the very end. Once you've completed this booklet, this is it. Okay. And I want you to write down here, I've put integration question used for follow-up journaling and keeping your focus sharp. If I drift again, what will it cost me? So if you drift in life, in your career, in your relationships, in your health, what will it cost you? And it's not a case of, I'm just not going to be as connected. The truth is that if you don't start buckling up your ideas, paying attention more to your wife and your kids, then they are learning to live without you. And when they learn to live without you, they don't need you anymore. And when they don't need you anymore, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go and live their lives because they're used to living without you there anyway. Now, that's a real consequence, right? And that's fucking painful. And then chapter 4, okay? Once you've done your 6 monther, I want you to look at this. So this is talking about tolerance, okay? So it's about looking at these questions. If you look down here, it says dig deeper. What am I pretending is fine that I know is slowly eating at me? What story am I using to justify the toleration? Who am I becoming if I keep tolerating this for another 6 months? So a lot of the things that people are tolerating are actually keeping them in the same place. So saying yes to the things that drain you, skipping training because you're too busy, not speaking up when I disagree. Okay. And you can see there in the other box what it's costing you. So this is a really important stage as well. Cool. All right, guys. So that is the recalibration. Now, it's gonna take you some time. It's gonna take a little bit of effort. You'll have to keep coming back to this. I think the best way to approach this is do this once a month. Go through this whole calibration, this whole training once a month, and really understand whether you're on the right path still, whether you're still focused, whether you've still got your edge, whether you're misaligned, whether you're drifting. Okay. And literally, when you get used to doing this whole form, this whole practice will probably take you 20 minutes. Okay. And if you think, you probably take 15 minutes to take a dump. So if you go in there with a clipboard, you could spend the first 15 minutes of your shit doing your monthly calibration. All right. But it's true, right? Everyone says I haven't got time for this, but everyone keeps complaining that they're drifting and that they've lost their edge and that they're misaligned. If you want to do something about it, you'll do this. This is where the best high performers come in. This is where the people that really show up and achieve the best results in life. This is the things that they are doing, guys. All right. So if you're not a member with us and you're still here and you want to come and do some work with us, in the description is my Instagram bio. Click it, message me the word ready, and let's get to work.